proprietary thing. No one else.
No, I invested. We want to make money.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got
But in terms of analytics, we'll be the only ones that are even doing anything with it. So it'll blow away sports. Blow it away.
So if any other team wants to, they have to go through you, right?
Oh fuck yeah! Just but that's okay. Just like what's it called? What's my other company?
Cyberduck.
No, not Cyber.
Catapult.
No, all the videos. God, I'm spacing. What's the big video for the highlights of the games and all the Synergy. Yeah, I can't even think of it. I've invested. That was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was like 15 investments.
Yeah, 15. No, 12 years ago. Yeah, so it's no, Synergy has done great, and maybe someday we'll be able to integrate it too. But yeah, so that'll be really, really cool. So we're working on that.
How do you keep up with all these companies?
That's all I do. Oh, I've got, in terms of chemo, I can't remember all their names, right? So I've got a whole team of people. I literally got to go look them up sometimes. Pretty stupid.
Yeah, but some. Given what it does to this franchise, how it would be able to make sure that the last 3 years are still in contention.
Oh, very important. I mean, not because of Dirk, because of me too, right? But yeah, I mean, I owe it to Dirk and what he's been to the franchise every year. I'm a contrarian, and when I see everybody building the franchise one way, I usually try to do it a different way because it's an efficient market. And so, I told him, whatever I have to do, whatever we got to spend, it's just you can't repay him in any way, shape, or form for all the things he's done for us. Oh, it's incredible.
And he can still contribute.
Oh yeah, no, Dirk's a beast. He's on a mission. Plus, I think you got to realize that he doesn't even think this, but 36 is the new 31. When seriously, you look at guys who are playing, Tim Duncan, Ray Allen up until this year, Kobe back at it after injuries like that, after 2 injuries. When I came into the league, we let Nash go because we thought he wasn't going to be able to sustain, and that was obviously wrong. But now the technology is such that, there's $6 billion men, basically, $6 million man. I mean, I've had 2 hip replacements. I have no doubt that if someone has a hip replacement during their career, they'll be able to come back and play again. It would shock me for that to happen.
Talking about international players, your team is obviously built around one of the best international players ever, perhaps the best one. How do you think the league will evolve internationally?
I mean, we continue to grow. Do I think we're going to have overseas franchises? Nah. Could we license the NBA name to some of the different foreign leagues? Absolutely. And then have kind of a World Series playoff, globally. And maybe have the winning team play an NBA team. Okay, I could see that. Do I see us doing like the NFL's talking about? No, I see that. I think that's stupid.
You've had a few French players playing for the Mavs. What's your best memory of Yann Mahinmi, Rodrigue Bobois?
Oh, it had to be Tariq Cohen. He was just a pleasure all the time. He was my first exposure to French players.
Yeah, I know.
He was always fun.
Yeah, same for him, I'm sure.
Hypothetically, Mark, you going into a draft, that's a guy like Dirk there that you like. Would you slide down 3 spots just to save $1 million?
No, I don't even think it was $1 million. I think it was 125,000.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, that was. Wouldn't do it?
No. Hindsight's not as crazy as you can get. That's where they were. But, hey, I'm grateful they did stuff like that because that's what opened the door for me to come in and buy the team.
Right.
I mean, we talk about the draft. If the draft would have been straight up based off of positioning, we would have gotten Shaquille O'Neal. And I probably wouldn't be here. They'd be talking about all the different championships the Mavs have won, unless maybe it was like Orlando and he just left. But Mr. Carter would still probably own the team.
In other words, the team was so bad they just had to get rid of it.
Yeah, no one was making money then to know it was tough. I felt bad for Mr. C. But I was still a season ticket holder. I wasn't a bandwagoner. I came.
In Shaq's case, though, actually what they did is they won 2 meaningless games at the end of the year. Mr. C wanted them to win, and they lost a ping pong ball. That was not real smart. But anyway. But they were, they missed out on other draft guys.
Yeah, they still had the worst record though, did they?
No, they-
second to worst?
Third worst.
Oh, third worst. They won 11
They went
games.
No, the Shaq year was before that.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you,
Brad had to sit through all of it.
yeah, I was pretty painful.
I would go to those games. It was fun though. I could just walk down to the front row and no one would care.
Oh, you not push that?
What's that?
You not push that?
Oh hell no! But after I sold my first company, I tried to get closer seats based on what I could afford, and so they sold me 2 seats that were caddy corner. They weren't even next to each other, but that's okay because unless Michael Jordan was playing, nobody came, right? Or the guy in front of me had strippers that he would bring to the game. So unless he brought his strippers, I had the whole place, and if he brought his strippers, I wasn't watching the game anyway.
Mark, what do you remember from Dirk's first years in terms of how he made the adjustment culturally to the league? Not necessarily basketball wise, but just off the court.
I mean, you know, he had language issues, and you know, Steve Nash and Michael Finley, I mean, were everything to him. And Donnie Nelson was so used to dealing with international players that Donnie also created a great support system. But yeah, it was fun. I remember my first year with Dirk. I mean, you know, he was still trying to feel his way around, and it took him probably till not even his second year. My first school year, but probably his third year. And I remember when we beat Utah on Calvin Booth's shot, he was running so much he sprained his ankle and almost couldn't play. Never forget that. We're all celebrating, running on the court. Dirk sprains his ankle. But yeah, he worked hard to make the adjustment. You'd see him on the plane sitting next to Nash, reading books, you know, just trying to get as good a grasp on English as he could, and he just kept on getting smarter and smarter.
How much do him spending all those Friday and Saturday nights in the gym help him get to where he is?
Oh, that's an obvious answer to an obvious question. The guy out when you want your best player to be your hardest worker, you know, because it sets the tone for anybody who's ever come through this franchise, and that's why I would never trade Dirk. I mean, you know, I don't know how many times everybody said he's done, but every year he's just the guy who's working the hardest, working the smartest, and showing people how it's done, and that has amazing value in the locker room.
It's hard to beat Father Time.
Hey, you know what Charles said? There's only 2 things in life that are undefeated, and one of them is Father Time, right? But Father Time is, you know, has a different schedule these days, you know, and if guys take care of their bodies, then, you know, anything's possible. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
What's up, Mr. Howard?